none. Roll call, please, Amanda.
Mr. Hoover,
Here.
Mr. Rutherford,
Here.
Mr. Coleman.
Here.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, the minutes of the regular session of our last meeting of April 19, 2021 have been distributed to members of the board. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions from staff? Seeing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. First on our agenda tonight is 221 Kaplinger Place, Jamie Servance. Jamie, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great, thank you. We've got your request in front of us. Tell us what you would like to do.
Well, we would like to add a privacy fence around our property, and 7.5 feet of on the south side is easement that we want to put the fence on.
Okay. Jamie, we've got a memo in front of us, and we hope you've got one as well, from Jeff Weaver of the city,
Yes.
outlining some proposed conditions. Have you seen that?
Yes,
Have you had a chance to review those conditions?
yes.
Any of those give you heartache?
No,
Okay.
I just have a question. If we wanted to come back a few feet from the property line, is there any recommendation on how many feet we should leave in case they did need to get back there without having complete access to the entire easement?
Daniel, I'm going to leave that to you.
Okay.
Sure. We generally would recommend, say, 4 or 5 feet from the easement line.
Were you able to hear that, Jamie?
Yes.
Is that something you can accommodate, you think?
Well, we can do anything that you ask us to do.
We like that attitude. Thank you. Any further questions for the board, Jamie?
No.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Pat?
Well, I'm a little confused. Is she wanting to encroach in the 10-foot DNUE or just the 7.5 foot?
The 7.5 foot.
Okay. I would move that we approve the request then, subject to the 3 conditions outlined in the report from Jeff Weaver dated 4/29/21.
I'll second. Thank you, gentlemen. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Jamie. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Next on our agenda is Marshall and Jean Bowling, 1207 Lazio Court. Folks, are you with us tonight? Thank you.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Again, tell us what you'd like to do here.
We would also like to have a privacy fence put up around our backyard. And according to the covenants of the homeowners association, we have to do it in such a fashion of the existing fences are up already. So that requires that we go into the easement section. And so we've submitted that.
Okay. As with the prior applicant, there was a memo produced by Jeff Weaver of today's date, giving us some suggested conditions. Have you seen that memo?
Yes, we have.
There are 5 conditions. Are you accepting of all of those 5 conditions? Should the board approve that?
Yes, we are. I do have one question though with condition number 2, where it states that if the fence be located no closer than 5 feet from the existing storm sewer. That section of there's a highlighted green section, which is an existing fence, which is our neighbor's fence. We were just going to connect to that or just set a fence close to that section. And if I understand correctly, we would not be able to put a post in the corner of either the northeast or northwest section and actually have our fence attached to that post. We would need to attach to the existing post.
That's my understanding. Mr. Johnson, is that correct?
That's an existing fence that is very close to the existing storm sewer line. So it would be concerning for him to have a post at the end of his fence, so he's able to tie into the neighbor's fence. That'd be best.
Were you able to hear that?
Just faded off at the very end. Was he saying we could not put up a post or would be able to?
No, you should be able to connect into your neighbor's fence.
Okay.
Right? Other questions you might have for us?
Nothing else.
Are you guys still there?
Hello?
Is anyone there?
Yes, it's Joe Meyer.
Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Arranging bowling.
Yes. Is this the BOW meeting?
That's the,
No. I don't know if we got disconnected from the Board of Works and Safety meeting.
Yeah, I think they're having some IT trouble.
Okay.
Hmm. they think about parking. The second is a graduation open house, and it's 1 to 4 in the afternoon on June 13th. And I called this resident and said, hey, there's really no need for a noise waiver. But apparently they had an 18th birthday party for this same child, and they had the police come out and tell them they needed a noise waiver if they wanted to do this again. So she insisted that we take a look at this and this go through this board.
Well, I think you've given the right information. If there's not a need for that, but if we could confirm that, and that way it could maybe alert the police department so they can be prepared to take any complaints and address that. I'd make that motion for approval under those conditions.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great. And my third one is a band in the backyard. Apparently he has done this before. And he's on Berrywood Drive from 7:30 to 10:30 on June 26th.
Where's Berrywood Drive? Lost it.
So it's right off of Chic Road. Is it south of Worsco, Daniel?
Possibly. Well, I know there's.
It's north.
Oh,
Is it north of, it's either
That's
just
Woodgate, okay.
north or
Woodgate.
just south of,
Yeah, Woodgate.
Just a little bit north, south 18.
okay.
I'd say 10 o'clock. Instead of 10:30. Because that is a residential area.
Is that a motion, Shane?
So approve it at 10 o'clock,
10
is that what you
o'clock.
said?
I think Shan's gonna make that
I
motion.
move for approval.
I would
Grant
second
this
that.
waiver, but change the time till 10 o'clock.
Okay,
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
thank you.
Molly, thank you. You lose Jeff there?
No, he's back.
He just bent down.
He was taking care of an audio issue we had.
Jeff, you're up.
Audio's back on the meeting, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, confirmed that here now.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Evening, I'm Jeff Whitewell, I'm the IT director. So this year is our third year or the ending of our Microsoft licensing agreement. We generally have a 3-year contract where we pay yearly for all of our Windows and servers and users and all of our different licensing there. So this year's we're up for renewal for that 3 years. And after all of our adding all those together, all the computers and users and servers and everything, our total is $66,087.73 a year for 3 years.
A year for 3 years.
I'm sorry,
Per year,
per
right?
year for 3 years, correct. If we add machines or users in the meantime, then we pay for that
Incremental.
time, yeah. So we do have that option there.
Is that an increase from the last one?
It's actually a decrease. We had some users decrease from last time, so.
That's good.
The contract, is that for the mayor's signature or is it yours, Jeff?
I believe it's for the mayors.
Yes, it is. Well, I'll move that we approve the contracts and authorize the mayor to sign on the board behalf.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the new position.
Thank you very much.
Lisa, good evening.
What's his name?
She took over for Rick. He's a lot of eager.
How are you?
Good. how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good.
So I'm coming in front of the board this evening for consideration of resolution 21-08 with respect to employee use of CBD product policy. I don't know if you've had a chance to review it.
So tell us the highlights, Lisa.
Okay, so we, ever since this big craze of CBD oil products has come into play, we have received numerous requests with respect to use of CBD oil products. So the one thing with CBD oil products is there is no federal regulation currently with respect to what's being put into these product containers. Obviously, under Indiana law, 0.3% or less THC is the compliant percentage with the law standard limit, okay? What we're looking to do is if we have an employee who is medically necessary to utilize a cream only, say for arthritis, they would have to bring in the medical necessity substantiation to me along with the doctor's order and the product they're using along with the product. So that way I can review everything and make sure it's in compliance with what our policy is stating. This, however, will not take away the fact if somebody has a positive THC test on a random drug test or a pre-employment test, that they would not have any type of disciplinary action. Because it's not federally regulated. So you do not know what's actually being put into those containers or how somebody may be taking it. So that, there's a big catch there because it's not federally regulated. But we don't want to allow any that can be ingested. It would just be in a cream form. The likelihood of a cream form with less than 0.3% THC producing a positive result is very, very low because it's a topical cream and it's not something that you're ingesting. But when it comes down to THC and determining the cause, it's nearly impossible to determine where the THC level came from, if that makes sense. So really, if you have a positive THC test, there's kind of no excuse for it. If you're using a cream that's 0.3 or below, you should not have a positive test. But again, because those labels are not regulated by the FDA and what's being put into those creams, there could be a possibility. It's kind of, you have to be responsible for what you're using, and just kind of go with it. If for some reason you have a positive THC result, then we will have to obviously take our stances on that as well.
Lisa, does this apply to only application when they're on duty, if you will? Well, what if somebody goes home, has some sore joints and wants to put some cream on their shoulder or something? Would that be a violation of, and they didn't bring you the?
Yes, yes. If it is a product that is being used with the possibility, because like I said, we don't know what concentration is really in those products, and it would show up. We are asking that anybody who uses the product, the cream, to come to HR with their substantiation to utilize it, and then we will have to obviously deal with each situation as it arises.
Has this been an issue before, or?
We've just had a lot of people wanting to, inquiring about the use of CBD products. And like I said, the big issue with it is you don't know where a positive THC test result could come from. It's nearly impossible to figure out. It's going to depend how much the concentration of that THC is within that drug test. And with a cream, it's not likely. It could be possible, but it's not likely to show up on a drug test. And I've always been told since all of this has become a big thing several years ago that using a CBD product, obviously without THC or a very low THC concentration, should not trigger a positive test result. But again, we don't know what's in those containers.
So are the employees tested on a regular basis, or how does that work?
The HR department tests every employee, new hire candidate, prior to them being offered an official position. They are conditionally offered a position. So everybody has to go through an oral drug test unless they are part of the airport staff or a CDL driver and they go through the FMCSA. I collect urine for all of those. We have random testing pools of public safety, safety sensitive, the FMCSA for our CDL drivers, and we go by FAA guidelines for our airport staff as well for their drug testing. So we do randoms quarterly for those. And of course, then we have reasonable suspicion and other things like if there were a fatality accident, something like that.
Does this not apply to the CBD oil? Or is that different? I hear you saying cream, but not
It's
oil.
a cream, yes. It wouldn't be oil, it would be a cream that,
So if somebody uses CBD oil,
mhm.
that's, seems like they can't be a city employee and use CBD oil.
If they use it, they use it. But if they have a positive drug test, we can't determine what it's from. So this is the whole bad thing about CBD products and not being federally regulated. We were talked to by someone with respect to the cream. I went and reached out to my TPA for drug testing with respect to it. And the cream, using a cream is going to be less likely than anything else to give you a positive THC test. Now, if you're using a product that does not have any THC in it whatsoever, you shouldn't have an issue with a positive drug test for THC. But again, you have to be responsible for what you're putting in your body because those are not federally regulated. And depending upon, if you were to purchase a $2.50 bottle of CBD oil or cream or what have you, versus maybe something that is more of a high scale from a specialist doctor, you may, there's, I think 40% of the tests that were ran on these products, 40% of them did not have in them what the label stated. So it's kind of one of those things, like, I don't like to put it this way, but it's almost like you're playing Russian roulette with, you don't have any knowledge really if you're purchasing something that might have, a small price tag versus something that a specialist is getting, from some maybe more reputable type company.
So if we pass this and someone is selected at a random drug test
Mhm.
and they're positive for THC, then they're in violation.
If they are positive for THC, again, there's no way to tell. It's nearly impossible to say, I use CBD cream, or I smoke marijuana, or had a gummy bear, CBD gummy bear with THC in it, or what have you. It's nearly impossible to make a determination. We would have to look at what they brought in as far as their product and the doctor's notice of necessity and how they're supposed to take it. And if we get one that comes up like that, then it will have to go through the lab to be processed. And then we can also have the medical review officer through our TPA review the documentation to determine if that could be a possibility that it came from that product. But normally it would not be something to pose a positive result.
But if they have a random drug test and there's THC in their system, that's a violation, right?
Yes.
I guess and I'm still wanting to talk with Terry and Sam, or hear from them, but if they've got THC in their system, that's a violation, then maybe we, at that point, say, where does it come from? Can you prove that it's from a cream that's less than 3%, 0.3%? Okay, then that may lessen the severity of the violation or abrogate it entirely, but Terry, help me out here. I'm not understanding. I understand what Lisa's trying to do or what that is, but I just want to make sure we're on the same
Yeah, I
page.
think virtually, she hit all the points. By Indiana statute, you're not considered over until you're over that 3, okay?
Right.
So what the governor's given in the statute is, if you're below it, you're below it. So if you're buying a product from a reputable dealer, there should be no issues. If you're not, no disrespect, if you might be going to some place that you don't know what they might be cutting it with or anything else, just like any other type of drug or narcotic, you're gonna come back with something different. So yes, to your point, it's more or less, if you are higher than that, you are subject to the same terms and conditions as whether that's 0.3 or if it's, 1.0. So, I mean, it's up to that person then to be able to go back and say, this is what we've had, and they have to be able to produce where their product comes from, whether that's from a reputable dealer. And I'll be honest, the few that we've had up to this point, they said where they purchased it at, but yet they've never came back to be able to quantify that that's where they purchased it at, so.
So this is just really kind of a warning to people. I mean, this is just an upfront. When you're hired, you get this, so.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that she addressed was, if you could take an oil, and a lot of people will place a drop of oil or whatever on their tongue. So it's probably going to give you a test a lot quicker. If I'm not using a cream, is from what we're being told, like, every 10 minutes, and I'm just doing, I just got a habit of doing this all day long, it very well could enter your bloodstream, but definitely not as much as, or as quickly as one that would be ingested. If that makes a difference, because they say it's a lot quicker to be able to go through your tongue, down through there. So it's not a perfect world, but it's giving, again, employees some sort of, some of the research that's been done is that it supposedly helps arthritis in hands. So that's the employees that came to us that have some arthritis problems. Again, able to show us what prescriptions or whatever they're taking from the clinic or their own provider. It's not CBD oil, it just might be another type of drug that just doesn't seem to be able to.
I know it's popular.
Yeah, there are people that cannot take certain types of anti-inflammatories or different things like that. So with the CBD cream, that's something that can help them without causing them further, issues, being able to utilize their hands better versus not being able to take certain medications and then not being able to do things. I guess it works. I don't know. I'm not one to try it, and I'm not one to play it. I don't want to take that chance. But I think that if people are utilizing a cream and they're doing it the way they're supposed to be doing it, and it's not a constant, I don't think we'll have a positive test. What they're saying is using this product is very unlikely that there's going to be a positive test result from using this product. But we do not want any of the ingestibles or anything like that to be utilized, because we know that can definitely cause a positive result if somebody is not taking it in the minuscule amounts. If they're constantly using it, they're going to produce themselves a positive test based upon the quantitativeness of what they're using and, their saliva or their urine or what have you.
Lisa, my thought, I certainly understand, I don't have a problem with making them go through more hoops. But I guess the bottom line for me is if they've got, when they test and there's more than a 0.3, they're in violation. And so if somebody comes to you and they have done all their, or what they're supposed to do, brought you in medical necessity for the cream, how do you know they're not using that and smoking marijuana?
Because if they're using cream, they should not have a positive result. There should not be a positive result if they're using a cream.
Okay,
It's
so if
very
they have-
unlikely. So if they have a positive result, they're most likely ingesting something or they're inhaling something.
And I guess I don't understand, if the policy is, if you got a positive result, that's a violation.
Mm-hmm.
What does this do other than just help the employee know what they have to do if it's a cream? I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but it just seems,
I think it's just more so set the standard of using having the cream, having the documentation for the cream. So that way they know that they are in guidelines with a policy of this 0.3% or less cream. That if they are going to end up with a positive THC test, it's because of a different reason. Are they using something that they're inhaling? Are they using something that they are ingesting? Which those products are not going to be, those are going to be the ones that are going to be disciplined by. If they're strictly using a cream, they should not be having a positive test for THC.
So this just really gives them guidelines that says,
if they're using a cream, they gotta bring in documentation.
That's correct.
Before they use it.
Correct.
And even if they're using it at home.
Yes.
Okay.
so it kind of gives them a loophole in a sense.
Council? It says we conferred with corporation counsel.
I believe Sean reviewed this, did she not?
Yeah, Sean and I work together on this with the
Okay.
information that I received from our TPA and other resources.
I don't see where it does any harm.
Yeah, I don't see it does any harm, I'm not sure.
I'll move for approval of resolution -2108.
I'll second that, because I've been asking more questions, but I'll second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Lisa, sorry, we're not trying to give you a hard time.
No, that's okay. I'm good.
You're doing your job, and we appreciate that.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Heck, are you online?
Hey, I'm here. I'm still here. That was riveting.
Joe,
Legalize it all.
Joe, put down your CBD oil and tell us what you want.
First time we've ever heard the word riveting connected to this meeting.
Yeah, it's riveting over this. Joseph Heck here with Projects Plus, here representing Cedric Properties, seeking the acceptance and execution of the final plat for Precedent South, Section 1, Block 3, Lots 3B and 3C. They're doing with the two owners need to move a lot line, so that's what we're here for, is to adjust this lot line so they can build on Lot 3C, a new industrial building out of Precedent South. That's what we're here for tonight, for that one.
Questions for Mr. Heck on this one? Daniel, everything looks okay in your line?
Yes.
Okay,
Move for approval.
I'll second that. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Joe, you've got a couple with us tonight. don't you?
Yep. Yeah, the next, again, Joseph Heck, Projects Plus. The next one's for the Estes Express Line project. It's at Precedent South also, but it's on Block 9. They got a parking lot they're going to build on that remaining Block 9. So we got, I think, 2 requests tonight. One's the acceptance of the performance guarantees and the inspection and testing agreement. And then the second is approval of the landscape encroachment into the existing utility and drainage easement, sanitary sewer easement along Commerce Parkway East Drive.
Joe,
Those
let's
are my two requests on that one.
performance guarantee and testing inspection issues first. Only condition appears is that we receipt of original revised performance guarantees and review and approval of them by the legal department and the engineering division. Is that correct, Daniel?
Yes.
Okay. Any problems with those, Joe?
No, I saw those today from Paul. Nope, no problems.
Well, I'll move for approval then, subject to that condition.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now, tell us about the encroachment request, Joe.
Well, for this parking lot, we have landscape required per the zoning ordinance for buffering along the public right of way. So we're asking to allow the landscaping, the trees and shrubs, to be put inside the easement outside the right of way, but between the parking lot and the right of way in the buffer yard. But it's in a platted easement, so that's the request for those to be installed in the existing easement. So.
Jeff Weaver has given a memo and proposed conditions. Joe, have you seen that yet?
Yep, I think Paul sent me those today too. They have four standard, I think,
yes,
items on that one, right? Yep.
Any problems with any of those?
No, those are nope.
I'll move for approval.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. One more, Joe.
All right, yeah, last one here. Joseph Heck, again, Projects Plus. This one is for JMS Investments, and they have a new project on Combs Road. It's going to be Ridgetop subdivision, and we need to request the city to prepare off-site drainage easements for 2 properties along Combs Road to get, basically our storm pipe needs to get to the legal drain that's in the county. So we've got the legal drain with the county approved with new pipe we're going to put in their drain, but we need to get the city to prepare the easements so the 2 owners can sign off on the easements. That way the builder Arbor Homes would be, they don't want to move forward with anything until they know these easements can be in place by the city. So that's what we're requesting, is that legal prepare these 50-foot easements along Combs Road to get our pipe to the legal drain. That's the request that I'm asking for tonight. That you authorize legal to prepare these easements.
I don't know why we would prepare do legal work for a private entity. Arbor Homes, they need to prepare their own easements.
Well, these pipes are be public pipes, so we would dedicate the storm. The storm pipe gets taken over by the city, so they would be city-owned pipes in city drainage easements.
We take them over, but I don't think that we pay to prepare documents for a private developer. We'll review them.
Daniel?
I was just,
Well, doesn't the city board of works sign off? Don't they sign these? In the past, they've signed the easements for me, and I've had to come and ask for them to prepare the drainage easements, I thought.
That's internal. Does that happen? I don't.
what? I think there was also thought that at some point in the future, the area might be dedicated to the city if the adjacent land were to develop at some point.
Yeah, it's a 50-foot easement, and that would be what the future right-of-way would be dedicated on those parcels when they got developed. So that's why we chose the 50-foot from the center line over. So that way the storm pipe could be pushed back off the road.
I think we agree with that. It's the issue of just preparing the actual document. If you can have their legal team prepare the document, our legal staff would then review it, and then the board would accept it. I think that's kind of the direction legal's giving us right now, right?
Correct.
Okay, well, it seems different than what we've done before, but if that's the process, we can prepare our own. Then what do? Do we just submit it to legal and then they place it on the board when they're happy? Is at the process then?
Yes.
Yeah, it goes through
Yeah.
legal and engineering. And
Yeah, that'd be okay.
Okay. But the city still, okay, so we'll prepare it. The city still, they'll still take the easement. We just have to prepare it ourselves.
Right.
Okay. Okay, okay. Yeah, that's just different than what we had done in the past. So but we can do that. We'll just take an easement that we did, a year ago, and we can just modify it. We can do that and just submit it. That's fine.
well, so we'll leave that with no action in, giving you some direction, Joe, on what's before us tonight.
Okay. Okay.
We're in consensus on that, gentlemen? Okay. Okay. Joe, thanks. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Next, we're back to Brighton Estates, Section 4A, Joe Meyer. Mr. Meyer.
Yes, good evening to all the Board of Works folks sitting up there.
Good evening, Joe.
I hope everybody's doing great. This is for Brighton Estates, Section 4A. We're requesting to accept the improvements that are in and their respective maintenance guarantees. Then for the incomplete items that you don't do at this time, we're asking you to accept the performance guarantees and then also to accept and execute the final plat. I do understand that engineering has two conditions. One of them is some minor changes to the performance guarantees, and then a couple minor changes on the plat. And we are in agreement with that. We have no problem.
Daniel, you're good with all that? With those, subject to those conditions?
Yes. I'll move for approval subject to those conditions.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Joe. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Huckleberry.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening. Preserves at South Lake.
Preserves at South Lake. Yes, this is Stu Huckleberry with Lennar Homes in Indiana. Here for the board for the acceptance of the builder lot sidewalks. In addition to that, the acceptance of the maintenance bond and subsequent then release of performance guarantee. I don't believe there was any conditions that I was aware of.
And it looked like for Section 4A and Section 5 there.
That's correct.
So, Daniel, you're fine with both Section 4A and Section 5?
That's correct. 5 is actually from the trails at South Lake.
All right. Let's do South Lake Section 4A first. Is there a motion on this one?
So moved. Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And now let's go to the trails at South Lake Section 5.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Stuart, that was bad. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Next, we're going to go to Stephen Hellman, All-Star Paving.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. What we're requesting is a temporary one-way during construction by the Meridian Meadows subdivision. We're doing Cambridge Drive, Perry Drive, and Waterford. We are doing complete tear outs and rebuilds of the roads. As we tear lanes out, this U-shape of these three roads will essentially become a one-lane road. And for the safety of homeowners and our workers, we're proposing, as you can see in the picture, as we tear out the inside lane, we want to make the outside lane a one-way as the natural flow of traffic. And then as we complete the inside and we move to the outside, we want to change the opposite direction to a one-way to keep traffic flow so we don't have anyone meet, just because all the way in the back, someone won't know if someone's trying to come in or go out.
How do we ensure, while you've got the lane either side closed, how do you ensure that people have access to their driveways during that time, or do they?
Well, so you have the two roundabouts or the cul-de-sacs in the center. We'll have stone ramps in and out of our trench to allow the cars to get in and out. On some of these, as we go, we're gonna ask people to be good neighbors. We'll have to, some people for a couple days will be out of their driveways as we pour new concrete in front, giving the concrete time to cure out.
Okay. Further questions? Steve?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Now, Mr. Hudson, maybe you can help us here. I understand we have a public hearing.
This is for the gas utility easement to serve the DPW building. The gas company was the only bidder.
So we will open this matter for a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience or online who wishes to address this matter? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Sam, is there any action we need to take on this then?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Next, we turn to the audience. Is there anyone from the audience, either online or in person, who would like to address the board this evening? Hearing from no one, we'll move on to Mr. Hudson with the IDM compliance plan status update.
All's well with IDM.
Good to hear.
May I start with the walk-on my section, please?
Certainly.
We're buying a light pole from Duke Energy. The agreement was circulated earlier this afternoon. It's near Wooddale Terrace and Sunset Boulevard. This is for the mayor's signature. The agreement's actually dated today, but it's been executed but not delivered, so this is not ratified, this is approved. But I would like for you to authorize the mayor to sign it.
I think I was out of the office, and that must have come in. Sam, what was that?
We're buying a light pole for $945.46. The monthly fee on it's going to be $11.27.
And why are we doing that?
If you see, there's a big light pole, and then there's nothing down there. I believe these are apartments, are they not?
Yeah. Off of Wooddale apartment area.
Yeah.
Baptist Church.
Questions for Sam on this?
Move for approval.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up are consideration of amendments to the community development block grant agreements. We'll start with Our Lady of the Greenwood. This grant, we're increasing the amount from 20 to 30,000 and adjusting the dates in which the money can be spent in the reports file.
Questions for Sam on this one?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up is the Harvest Food Pantry at St. Francis and Clare Church. And this one involves no additional revenue, but it moves the dates back.
Just a month.
Yep.
So is it already over?
Yeah, this one is a ratification. Okay.
I move for approval.
Second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up is a marketing agreement. This is something that was sent to us by AIM, and it's a company that sells a relatively inexpensive insurance policy to protect homeowners from problems with their utility lines. The city is accepting no payment for this, so there's no money and no conflict to be waived. No conflict to worry about. We're not taking any payment. We're not endorsing them.
If we're not endorsing them, why do we have to do, why should we do this?
We've been encouraged strongly to do so by AIM.
This is a benefit to our property.
We would consider it a benefit to, we often have people whose lines are damaged for a variety of reasons, and then we're not responsible for it. their insurance, their general homeowner. This is something that would, a benefit to us, I guess. It would be less headache when there is a problem because there would be insurance to pay for it.
Okay. Questions for Sam?
Is there a disclaimer then on their form that says that it's not endorsed by the city?
Yes.
Pleasure of the board.
I move that we approve the request. Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up is Hoosier Brewing Company, which wants to operate a farmer's market on a lot owned by the city. This request we'd like you to consider, and if you do approve it, two things. One, for the mayor to be able to sign it. And secondly, we want the agreement to have a specific provision that bars parking because it's a gravel lot. And since we prohibit everybody else from parking on gravel, we wouldn't want a city endorsed event on a gravel parking lot.
I'm trying to picture 247 West Pearl.
It's
So the blue box is the gravel lot. That house is no longer there. And it's adjacent to the public parking lot on Pearl.
Okay.
Just
It's east of there. So I drove past there Sunday looking for the
Right.
farmer's market.
I would move that we approve, subject to those two conditions.
And are those conditions reflected in here?
Not yet.
Okay, but they will be, so.
Correct.
So it can be modified by council. Further discussion, is there a second? please?
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I don't believe I have anything else. Amanda, do you have anything else?
You're good.
Great,
Thank you, Sam. Daniel?
Actually, I have one walk-on.
Okay.
This is related to the Worsville Road Section 3 project. This is actually a retroactive approval for emergency maintenance, repairs and relocation for the sanitary force main at Tracy Ditch. For the last 2 weeks, sanitation department's had a contractor, Eagle Valley, that we frequently use for emergency repairs around the city. They've been relocating the force main out of the construction zone. It's been going on for about 2 weeks roughly. They finished last Friday, and the restoration will be, I guess, when the weather allows them to complete it.
So you want us to ratify that contractual arrangement?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Daniel. No pressure, Greg.
Nothing from me.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move for approval of the claims as submitted.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll stand adjourned then at 6:31 p.m. Thank you all.
Hey, Daniel, so I got a question for you.
Let's go to Mike's first.